Am I the butthole for letting my toddler niece use my adult daughter's toy collection? This feels ridiculous to me, but my daughter is 24 years old. As a child, she collected these stuffed animals and kept them on a shelf in pristine condition with the tags on. She never played with them or used them and rarely even touched them. But she would get really angry if anyone else ever tried to play with them. Now that she's older, it's been several years since she's handled them. She's no longer living here, but works out of state after graduating college. Her collection is still in her room at my home. A few weeks ago, I was babysitting my niece overnight. She's 4. She stayed in my daughter's bedroom and asked if she could sleep with a few of the stuffed animals. I figured my daughter likely won't be back anytime soon and probably doesn't care anymore. So I removed the tags of a couple animals, choking hazard, and let her sleep with them. She did get a little drool on them, which I wiped the next day. A few days later, I zoomed with my daughter and let her know my niece used a few of her toys. She seemed upset, but didn't say anything until I mentioned I took the tags off 3 of them. Then she completely exploded, telling me that was vandalism and I was out of line for removing tags of toys that didn't belong to me, even though she kept them in my house. I told her she was an adult and doesn't need toys anymore, and she told me it was disrespectful of me to damage her possessions that I knew were really valuable to her. Then she also told me that her collection, unadulterated, would have been worth thousands, which I didn't know. I feel like she should have told me this, but she just says that I should have known not to mess with her prize collection. She sent me links to the ones that had the tags removed, and they are extremely expensive now, but she asked me to replace them. I refused. It's been a few weeks, but she continues not to talk to me. My husband says maybe we should consider just replacing them, but I think she's being kind of ridiculous. She never came back for them. Am I the butthole for removing the tags on my daughter's toys? Would I be the butthole for sending only one daughter to study abroad? I have 2 daughters, A, 18, and B, 17. As much as we love both daughters, there comes a time when we have to think if both of them need the same financial investment. If you're wondering why I'm paying the tuition fees instead of letting them get a loan or work for it, it's because there's no way an undergraduate can save money in Eastern Europe. Her isn't too interested in anything, has spent most of her high school years chatting and going to parties. She admits she has never put too much effort in school or any other hobbies. Another problem with A is that she has always been very corruptible. As a result, her alcohol use in her last year has spiraled out of control. If she has pocket money, she spends it on alcohol. If not, her high school friends are giving her something to drink. When A isn't grounded, she lies that she is going to walk in the park, but she is at the bars with friends. When we were in lockdown, I always praised her every time she kept being interested in something: meditation, cooking, talking to us about her favorite books etc. When it was over, she's back with lying and drinking every day. When she's with her friends, she doesn't have any interest in doing other things than what her friends do. Begs us to go to Netherlands to university without justifying why she wants to study global law beside being with her friends. I suggested she moves to Netherlands and work a full-time job instead of going to a university she doesn't care about, but A started throwing a tantrum that I love B more than her. I'll let A know that we aren't paying any tuition fees unless she starts being cautious with alcohol. I even offered to pay her therapy sessions, but didn't like the psychologist she had, and now refuses to see any other therapist. Now A says she's drinking in our country because it's cheap and fun, not because she's addicted. I see many red flags that make me skeptical of sending A to study abroad. 1. She has never put any effort in school or hobbies. 2. Netherlands seems like a place that could easily turn a person like A into an alcoholic or drug user. 3. She didn't give us any reason for joining a top-level university except for being around her friends. Why I believe B should be supported. 1. She knows she is very interested in studying pedagogy in Denmark. B. Husband and I have researched a lot about that university and we believe it's a good match, way better than universities in our country. 2. B has never showed any signs that she might be attracted to drinking alcohol regularly. 3. B doesn't want to go there just to be with friends. The other option for A is to join a free university in our country and study, or start working a flexible full-time job so she can move out. But A can't take no as a response. She wants to go to Netherlands and will pressure us to pay her tuition fees because she knows we're sending B to Denmark. Am I the wrong for throwing a dirty little family secret in my mom's face? There is a family secret that has been hidden for the last decade. It strained my relationship with my mom significantly. While my dad was still alive, she was having an affair with my uncle. My dad got into an accident and passed away, and before the funeral even happened my mom had moved my uncle in, pretending to extended family that he was there to help us. A couple of weeks after the funeral everyone else found out, and they are estranged from my mom and uncle now. My mom was pregnant during all this, and it was very hard as a 7-year-old to accept what was happening. My mom and uncle got married before their daughter was born, and since then they've had a son. My relationship with my mom and uncle is not great. It has sucked living with them and seeing their happy ever after play out after what they did. Not even just to my dad, but to me. My mom has always gotten up my butt about my attitude toward her, and her husband and I have always tried to ignore it for the most part. But the other night she and I got into a fight when their daughter asked why I didn't like her parents, and I told her to ask them. My mom said it was like telling them there was something they should know. I told her she was the one who ducked her husband's brother, moved him in when he died, while having a kid in the house, and then telling the kid to lie about it so the funeral could pass and she could get money from her in-laws instead of being cut off. I told her she was a disgusting person and I couldn't wait to move out in a few months. Am I the butthole? My dad died in a workplace accident. My mom and uncle were kissing in front of me the day he died, so the affair started before. It's also not really an affair if he had been gone. Still ducked up to do it in front of me, but still. I'm my dad's only child. Both kids are my uncle's. I have contact with my extended family behind my mom's back. She and my uncle are completely cut off from both maternal and paternal families. Once I can, and with the advice of some comments this might be sooner than expected, I'll be getting the hell out of this house and they will never see me again. I don't give a crap. My mom and uncle are cut off from the second I leave, and I will be free. Am I the butthole for being mad at my husband, who was going to give away $10,000 to his sister without even asking me about it? Throwaway created to keep some privacy. On Saturday morning, I noticed my husband was sending a lot of text messages back and forth. He is usually not much of a texter. He left the phone next to me to charge while he was in the other room. The phone kept lighting up with text messages when I decided to open it up to see what the big discussion was about. I know some couples view it as a big breach of trust to read through a significant other's phone, but my husband and I do it regularly, so this was not a huge invasion of privacy on my end. We both have nothing to hide, and it has never been an issue before. Anyway, of course I saw something on the phone that I shouldn't have that got me upset. For background, my husband is 34, I'm 32, and his sister is 31. She's in this story. Husband and I have been together for 10 years, married for the last 4 years. We are all college educated with jobs now. My husband and I each make good salaries around $150,000 each. We own our house. I still have about $60,000 in student loans I'm working to pay off. Luckily low interest rates, so I just pay the minimum. We have about $40,000 liquid savings. So we are doing good financially, but still need to build up more savings as we will probably try to start a family in the next 1 to 2 years and want to be prepared for an emergency and have a rainy day fund. Anyway, my husband's sister is trying to buy a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. I saw in the text messages that my husband offered to give her $10,000 for her down payment. The money in our savings is our money. Our bank accounts are 100% combined. My husband manages 99% of the finances because I prefer not to deal with it. However, it is understood we consult each other regularly on major purchases. He did not ask me if I was okay with him giving this money to his sister. She didn't ask, he offered. I immediately confronted him calmly and was like, "Hey, did you tell your sister you would give her $10,000? He said yes. I asked him when he was going to tell me. He said he probably wasn't. He figured I wouldn't notice and said he didn't think I would care about the details. I said, do you think $10,000 is a detail? He said, no, that is a lot of money. I should have told you about it. Are you okay with it? I said, no, I don't think I am. Anyway, we decided in that moment not to give the money. He said he would tell his sister and she would understand. He wanted the issue to go away after that. But I'm still mad. I said this was a big breach of trust. I'll let him control all finances because I trust him to never ever take advantage of my ignorance. Shouldn't you be able to trust your husband? So now, I don't have that full amount of trust I had before, and I want to open my own bank account, which frankly, I should have anyway. But am I the butthole for being totally upset and feeling betrayed about this? I grew up poor and $10,000 is a ton of money to me. I mean, to most people, right? I'm horrified he would consider gifting it away and not even telling me. Edit 1. Wow, thank you all for your responses. This is giving me a lot to think about. I'm at work, so I may be slow to respond, but I will read through every single one of these. Appreciate everyone's thoughts. Edit 2. Good lord, this blew up. Thank you to all who have taken the time to respond. There are a few questions being asked over and over again that I figured I can address up top. I really appreciate everyone's thoughts. We don't check each other's phones because of trust issues, but I understand why some of you think this is the case and why it signals a bigger issue. I'll try to explain. My husband and I are very close, share everything and think nothing of picking up the other person's phone and reading a few recent text messages, especially if we seeing what is up with the other person's family or it is a mutual friend. We do not read each other's phone with the intent of seeing if the other person is cheating/lying. We just do it because we are nosy. I'm just trying to say the fact I checked his phone wasn't a trust issue. I have picked up my mom's phone and read a few texts to see what she is talking about with my aunt, for example. Or another example, my husband is on a big group text with like 20 people in his family. I have read through this just to see what is going on with everyone. I know we should have more in savings. We are working on it. I graduated college with a very expensive monthly student loan bill, lived in New York City for the first few years after college, spent a ton on rent making $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and was not able to save a lot of money in my early years. New York City is expensive. Then we moved across the country. That was at least $8,000 in moving expenses. I have had jobs in the past where I received a big annual bonus at the end of the year. A lot of this cash/savings from the past was used for our wedding and a down payment on our house. Then I switched jobs and didn't have these bonuses for a few years. I also went about 4 months being unemployed between jobs, where we were down to one income. We did not save much during this time. In December, we both started new jobs making a lot more money. We also refinanced our mortgage, got rid of PMI on our house, and were able to significantly reduce our monthly mortgage bill by like $600. So yes, we are going to make $300,000 this year, but last year it wasn't nearly this much. My goal this year was to use all my extra income from new job to save up for an emergency/rainy day fund. I will 100% be more involved in the finances going forward. That was dumb of me. I knew it was dumb, and I did it anyway. My mom told me it was dumb, and I didn't listen. I have always had access to our money and accounts. I just logged in today. I just didn't monitor it regularly. He did all the bills/paying taxes. I just worked and let the money flow to our savings account. I have a hands-off approach with money in that regard. I have a decent idea of how much money we make/spend/save on an annual basis. However, when it comes to monthly expenses, credit cards, etc., I'll let my husband handle that. I will be more involved moving forward. In the past in our relationship, we considered my husband the one who is good with money. I'm more laissez-faire, and I was the one who has been less frugal in the past. Many of you fairly pointed out it was dumb to let my husband handle everything. He never cut me out of anything. My thought process was, my husband is very good with money, and I trust him completely to handle all our finances. I'll be more involved going forward. My father-in-law is helping my sister-in-law with a down payment on her house. I knew this. However, I didn't know my husband was also thinking he would help her with this. Regarding the money for a 1-bedroom NYC apartment, she is looking at a 1-bedroom apartment somewhere like out in Queens for like $350,000 to $400,000. She was probably going to get like $40,000 from her father for the down payment. I think my husband just wanted to pitch in and help her out a bit more. I know I make good money and still have student loans. I view student loans very differently from other debt, like credit cards. This is a conscious choice we have made together. We carry no balances on our credit cards month to month, and with the exception of my student loans and our house, we are very risk averse with debt. I want to continue to save to make a further dent and fully pay off my student loans, but we also need to have a cash emergency fund. No one is using these or stealing money. I checked our bank accounts and everything is accounted for. I really don't believe he has done this before or anything like this before. It wasn't until this year we had this much money just laying around. Before, all my cash/savings were invested in mutual funds. Pre-marriage, he didn't manage all the money back then until I extracted them to pay for our wedding and down payment. He did feel bad, but he was 100% honest with me after I confronted him. I think he wanted to step in like a caring big brother, saw his dad offering money and he wanted to help her too. I think he made the decision to give her the money impulsively. I did not immediately say we can't give his sister the money. When I confronted him, he immediately asked me if I was still okay to give the money. I did think about it and decided while we have a bit of cash right now, we need that for emergencies and are financially not in a position to be giving $10,000 away. Our lives are just beginning. We are going to have kids and their college expenses and need to retire someday. I asked him if we have to give her the money now, if it was a promise and she was counting on it. He said no, absolutely not, and his sister and father would understand if he said he couldn't give the money anymore. Also, I'm due for a bonus at the end of year, and I told him maybe in January, when I find out what this amount is, we can consider helping her, but we don't know yet when that is going to be. Also, I did not grow up in poverty, I just grew up poorer than I am now. My mom, brother and I grew up on my mother's teacher salary. We always had food on the table, but money was tight. And my mom was, and is to this day, terrible with money, so I'm just scarred from that a bit and really value the security I have today. Hope that helps clarify a few things. Final edit. First, thank you for the genuine concern from so many of you. I thank you all for taking the time to advise me. I have been reading for hours and responding where I can. The first thing I did today was check our bank account. I logged in no problem. He never cut me out of anything. I know I said he manages/controls the finances, but what I meant, and should have said, is that he pays the bills. I have open access to everything. All our money was there. No crazy crap happened. When I got home from work I sat down with the husband over dinner. Told him we needed to talk through this, and make sure we're on the same page. We agreed he was a moron, and made new rules for why this can never happen again. Agreed we will discuss any purchase over $500. No exceptions. He listened and apologized and explained his side of the story. Maybe I'm an idiot, but it does add up. I don't think he is a nefarious liar. He has a big heart and wanted to help his sister. He was still wrong. He still ducked up. But I can forgive this. Basically, yes, it was a red flag. I'll learn from this, but I don't think I need to hop off a sinking ship into a lifeboat just yet. I promised to be more active in the finances. I'll make sure he knows that I'm watching everything. He promised to make it easier for me by compiling all accounts into one place, etc. Did you like this video? If so, consider subscribing to Reddit Reddit. We upload new videos and updates every day. Thank you for watching.